Hello everyone, welcome back to Chatty Sparkly Runners. This is an episode all about starting your marathon training, I believe.
Yeah, because one or two people have been asking about they're starting their marathon training. So it's 15 weeks to the Brighton Marathon, 18 weeks to the London Marathon, and 21 weeks to my Abingdon
you've
Marathon.
got a little bit longer.
I've just publicised the fact that I'm in training.
You're committed now.
It's things to include in your marathon
Yes, people have
training.
been asking about plans, haven't they, and what they should be doing, I believe, yeah?
Yeah. And I'll just give them at the end, I'll give them some ideas of what they should include depending on how many days a week they're going to train.
Okay. But you're going to give them 5 key things that they need to be following in their plan.
Yeah, if they can find 5 key things. And of course marathon-based training is really good for everybody to do anyway. So if you pretend you're training for a marathon, for the first 8 weeks you do marathon training, that's going to be brilliant.
If you're doing a half marathon, it's it's the same approach.
So here we are. So it's 15 weeks to the Brighton Marathon. So
and we are
at the Devil's Dyke
in north of Brighton,
just north of Brighton,
nice,
which is just right, and it's a beautiful view. And I'll just give you.
It's a bit hazy.
It's a bit hazy, but it's lovely. Okay. So number one is the marathon is 99% aerobic, which means that you use oxygen all the time. So you need to make sure you train that energy system. So if you do huffy puffy running and lots of anaerobic repetitions like I outlined last week, that's not going to benefit your marathon, especially at the beginning of your marathon plan.
So at this stage, going off and doing interval sessions
is not needed. No,
it's not needed.
No, in the marathon plan. So what you have to do is you have to build up the amount of time you're running for, and the chatty running will do that. Okay. The amount of running you do is really what dictates your marathon performance.
Okay, what about marathon pace? Because I know people will pick up a plan and they will see a marathon pace session.
Okay, so this is vitally important. It's where Chatty Sparkly Running comes in, really, in that most people will train faster than their marathon pace. But generally. But actually, the elite don't. The elite train because they go so fast in the marathon. They train a lot slower, 2.5 minutes per mile slower. So they would. So your chatty pace is slower than your marathon pace.
For most people.
For the vast majority.
Of
if
people.
You're running about 4.5 hours for your marathon to 5 hours for your marathon, it begins to be about the same. Okay. But 4 hours and below, if you're aiming for a time there, then your general running, your general training is slower than marathon pace.
And that's what you should be doing in this.
And people don't believe that. They think, well, I can't go that. Well, you have to, because it's building up the volume that you have to do. Okay, so number 3 is about the long run and all the other runs in the week. But it's more about to do with your fuel, because in a marathon, anything over 2 hours, you haven't got enough glycogen or sugar in your body stored to last the distance. Yeah. So what you need to do, and it's really useful for everybody, is to get yourself to be able to use your fat as a fuel. So it's really vitally important to use fat as a fuel, especially if you're a marathon runner, but all runners should do it because it really helps with recovery. So
Why is that?
Well, because when you're running faster on your harder days, if you're a fast runner, you're using sugar and glycogen, and on your recovery days, if you're able to use fat, it means that you can replenish your glycogen stores really quickly.
Right. Okay. So it's good for everybody then.
It's good for everybody. So how do you do it? Well, people are not going to be not going to be too surprised by my answer, and that is, on the long run, you need to go gently, and you need to go gently because your body will choose to use fat as a fuel, or choose to use fat as a fuel when you're running slowly. As soon as you go a bit faster, it will switch to sugar.
Yeah, and that happens on the long run, doesn't it? At
so
a certain point on the long run.
There are two tips. Number 1 for the long run: start off more gently than the average speed of your run.
Super chatty
to start. Walk or go super chatty to start with, because that gets the fat metabolism going. The other thing is, make sure that you're up over 2 hours, because after 2 hours your body has to start using fats anyway.
And that's the key thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting it to 2 hours.
Okay, so number 4 is...
Right, number 4 already.
In order to get that fat metabolism to work, you need to not eat carbohydrates when you're running. So all these people, there are a lot of people that think they need to have gels when they do their long run.
But they won't survive. They won't get to the end of their 2.5 hours.
Well, they will.
But they will.
If they're not getting to the end without getting, you know, completely tired, and they need the sugar, then they haven't got their fat metabolism working. So they need to run for less.
Okay, so
don't eat.
So reduce the long run and build it up gradually so that you get your body into that fat metabolism.
Absolutely.
mode.
And no gels, don't eat anything. You can have water, you can have your normal breakfast, that's all right, not a problem.
Yep.
And of course on marathon day you don't have to not have gels on marathon day, so you would have whatever you want to have. Number 5, so make sure that you keep your chatty running, which is slower than marathon pace for the vast majority of people, for the vast majority of your week. And I'll just say what you could do in the week, depending on whether you're going to run 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times a week.
That's important, isn't it?
Okay, so let's just look about that. So at least in the first 6 to 9 weeks of your marathon training, you've got to keep chatty. You would do, you might do a sparkly run or 2, and I'll go through that in a minute. And you might do 1 run a week of breathy, if you're up to that. But you should be. If you're training for the marathon, you should be able to run breathy. You don't need to go above breathy, because that's not what you need.
That's the difference between breathy and huffy puffy. And if you look back at our previous videos, I'll put a link to that.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'm just going to cheer these people on.
Yeah.
Well done. What are you doing? 50k. 50k. Wow.
Okay. 50k. So they'll be using their fat metabolism all the way, because that's. Anyway, that's.
I can't even.
I think it's about 33 miles.
Wow.
Okay, so let's have a look. So say someone asked me yesterday, I'm training 3 times a week. What do I need to do to run a marathon? And my answer was run 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Because the more you do, the better you'll get. And I know that was a bit of a flippant response, but actually, you're really, if you want to run a marathon, you're only running 3 times a week. You know, that's
you're not going to get the volume in there.
No, that's and one of your runs is going to be a long run. You're going to build that up to 2.5 hours. One of them will be a chatty sparkly run with some lovely sparkly bits in, and the third one is going to be just a chatty run with whatever that is. I would suggest up to 1/3 of that run being breathy. So if that run,
a little out and back.
Yeah, so if that run is 40 minutes,
or a fun fartlek,
15 minutes of it is breathy. So what about if you're running 4 times a week? And that's really, I think, the minimum that you should do. One's your long run, build it up the same, 2.5 hours. Keep it really chatty, slower than your marathon predicted time. That's vitally important. No food on it, just water. Then the second run is your lovely chatty sparkly fartlek. So you're doing the sparkly bit in the run. The other run you build up to a lovely chatty run, nothing quicker than chatty. And then the 4th run of the week would add a little bit of breathy in. And that breathy you would just.
And you could that extra chatty run you'd build up gradually to how much in terms of time, because it's the medium.
Yeah, you could get it up to 80 minutes.
Up to 80 minutes. Yeah.
So you could have, you know, let's go to someone that's running 5 or 6 times a week. Long run. 2.5 hours. Medium long run, 80 minutes. Nice chatty run, 45 minutes. Chatty sparkly run, fartleky chatty sparkly run. And then the other run in the week is your breathy run, just a little bit faster than chatty, for about 1/3 of that. So you wouldn't do any more than 40 minutes breathy in the week, and the rest of it is chatty or sparkly.
The important thing is to make sure that you're not suddenly increasing your volume by a huge amount. You mustn't sort of put that 80-minute run in when you haven't done it before.
And chatty sparkly is really a great way to marathon train, because it's the volume that does it, and by keeping it chatty it keeps you enthusiastic, you want to do it more, you're not feeling tired. You can do it, but you know, you might say add 5 minutes to your long run, but if you're feeling great and everything's going, you might be able to do 15 minutes.
But then you've got to listen to your body after that, and
And if
make
you're really
sure-
tired and you can't
Yeah.
do the run in the week, that's the other thing about those people that do the 22-mile run in, you know, 22-mile long run. It takes them 5 hours, but they're so tired for the next week they can't do
any
anything.
training.
So
So-
they lose out. Overall, they lose their volume. It
like
is
these
indeed.
people will have to be doing on
Yeah, 50k run.
50k. There's a
That's
few
right.
people walking
They
and
go
then
very
running.
different paces, aren't they? Some of them are zooming along.
Well done.
I don't know whether I'd want to do 50k, but along the South Downs I possibly would. Yeah, it's beautiful.
That's great. Okay.
Okay, so we're just going to turn around here whilst you tell them about the website, Anne.
What have I got to say about the website? I'm still way behind on uploading the vlogs, but I will get half
We're
term
nearly
next
there
week,
now,
so I'll do
yeah.
that. Yes. And half term next week, I am going to sort a kit order out.
Okay.
So I know people want t-shirts, hoodies, even vests. I'm going to get some vests.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Mocked up.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of doing a t-shirt with a small logo as well.
Okay, so there's a lot of
that's
options.
my job for next week.
Okay.
So I'm going to expand the options. So do look out on the Facebook page and the Facebook group, or contact us if you can't find
And I'm
it
more than
when
happy
the kit stuff's ready.
I'm more than happy to answer any questions
on marathon
about
training.
marathon training, because that's the subject that we get most often. It's really the crucial time. It's time to start marathon training now.
Yeah. Key time.
Key time. I'm just
Getting
about.
exciting.
I'm just about to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
See you
See you
next week.
then.
Bye.
Bye.